Today's video is sponsored by DUEL. The 17-year RPG Dungeon Fighter Online is here as the latest 2.5D fighting game. It's a Smash-style fighting game with intuitive command inputs and features the latest 2.5D style fighting game graphics, as well as some dazzling skill effects that can do a complete screen takeover. DUEL utilizes rollback netcode to ensure a low lag and seamless multiplayer experience worldwide, and has a simplified online matching system where opponents are continuously matched just by queuing. It features all the modes that a fighting game should have, such as story mode, practice mode, survival mode, arcade mode, and even more. DUEL is available now to purchase. Now onto the video. I figured it was about time. I played some Greatsword and made a Greatsword video. I gotta say, personally, I do like the new Greatsword a lot more than the previous, right? The whole kit feels like it has a purpose now. It just feels overall good to use, and that makes it very, very, very nice. It's still a very weird weapon, right? People don't know the matchup at all. But overall, I mean, it's like, in the end, it's just cool. That's like the biggest thing I can say. It's a very unique weapon in its own right. It still feels like it doesn't belong in this game, but I mean, when you're able to do stuff like that, I mean, that was more of a Jaeyun Sig moment. But look at that, look at that, look at that recovery. That was crazy. The new recovery, so good. The Sair, oh man, Sair's an actual, like, it's basically its own weapon now. The thing is kind of insane. I do wonder if, like, Greatsword people think if the Sair buff was, like, too much for the weapon, or if just the fact that everyone was so used to Greatsword Sair being so bad that now that it's, like, usable, it's like, oh, this is crazy that that move exists, and there's like an actual angle that it can cover that nothing else on Greatsword, in the air at least, can really cover, unless you're doing maybe like a recovery. But I don't know. I can see this weapon doing very, very good. I mean, in mid-season we saw, and this was pre-patch of course, where the aerials were still bad, but to be fair, like, you could do the sidelight finisher on the ground. Hardy MJ, I think, got 5th with it. Now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, the sidelight finisher on the ground, you can still do it, but you have to do an endlight bridge. You have to go into this before you can do the sidelight finisher, right? You have to have that as the bridge. But if you have the D-light as bridge, like the slide along the ground, this one, then you can't do it. You have to take the endlight version. Otherwise, they're going to be able to jump, I'm pretty sure, all the time. And it's not like it wasn't jumpable before, but the difference is, like, it's crazy in how easy it is to jump. Before, people were like, oh yeah, it's 5 frames, it's jumpable. It's like, okay, but it was so specific, it was borderline impossible. But now it's just simply, oh, okay, if I spam jump, or if I spam a wake up, you can stop. You can, like, basically get in there pretty easy. And I think for a lot of people, like, they just have issues with the Greatsword matchup as a whole. So now there's like 2 easy outs where you can basically jump, or you can just simply do a wake up off of a D-light bridge, I'm pretty sure. And I don't know if the, like, wake up works in all cases off of, like, the D-light bridge, but I know that in most, it seems to, it is an option. But then also, I know that the endlight finisher, it's so hard keeping, like, track of all this while talking, but the endlight finisher is unjumpable. So if you want to be able to get, like, a guaranteed string or something, you have to be willing to do that. And also, I mean, it doesn't kill as early, but I think what Greatsword players have gained in return, what the weapon overall has, like, gained, it is very worth it. I think this weapon in 2s is actually, it's a pretty menacing pick. I think it's super solid, because you're able to play, like, super evasively, and some of the characters too, like Jaeyun in particular, having access to this guy is so nice. I mean, super high strength. Like, let's just look at the stats. This isn't about Jaeyun, I'm just playing him, but right, 5 defense, 6 speed, 7 strength, and you don't need dex on Greatsword, so, like, this is perfect. On a smaller scale though, they made it so that you can hit sidelight into endlight true, and I'm pretty sure you can also do this true as well. Basically any, well, sidelight opener and the endlight opener, both of them can lead into the D-light true, and that can feel pretty nice. You could already do the sidelight into D-light before, but it's like much easier now. If you're standing still for either of them, I'm pretty sure they can be true. I might be wrong on that. I kind of forget exactly. It's so hard because, like, it depends on spacing, it depends on you know, momentum you're carrying, but I'm pretty sure on both, if you're standing still, that's when it works. But I want to know from, you know, other Greatsword players, or I mean, I say other, all of you guys that play Greatsword, not me, I'm not a Greatsword player, but who knows, I think I might have. Greatsword is a pick, but I still don't consider myself a Greatsword player. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think about the changes to the weapon. This is usually a question I would pose at the end of the video, but that's kind of my like spiel on Greatsword as a whole, just because, dude, talking about Greatsword, there's a reason I don't like play Greatsword characters or make Greatsword videos while recording, because like it's so hard for me to talk and do it at the same time. Like it actually is like really hard, because I'm trying to explain all these things and all these different like routes and paths, and meanwhile like my opponents are either disconnecting, they're just going like bonkers on me. It's a lot. But now I got all the educational parts out of the way. Dude, this weapon's just, if I had to give my own opinion of this weapon, I think it's just weird. I think if you're patient against it, like it's gonna feel fine to play against. I think a lot of the times like certain characters make the weapon more so than the weapon like makes the characters, if that makes sense, right? Look at Jaeyun, for example. Like this character, you don't need Greatsword with this guy. Same with like Mako, I would even say. You do not need Greatsword with that character. Arcadia's the same way, but Magyar's a case where I think you kind of do need the Greatsword, especially considering Hammer's just down the drain right now. It's really, really not that great. Or, you know, I've never been the biggest Hammer player. I am not a Hammer player at all in any capacity. I mean, I tried to start playing it, but then they nerfed it. Magyar basically doesn't have a second weapon to like fall back on, which I think is very bad. I don't want to say they don't have a second weapon to fall back on, because Hammer still can kill. It's just that with the nerfs, it's like, okay, well, you have Greatsword, yeah, that's awesome, but then also you have like nothing else with it. You have nothing to substantiate it, like back it up, right? Come in big, like tag them in. It's just pretty much all Greatsword if you want to do anything. And then Hammer, the only reason you would pick it up is to get a kill. And the thing is, it's just not as good as it once was, which is very annoying, I'm sure, for people who were playing Magyar, all of, you know, 3 people. I think it's safe to say, though, that the best Greatsword character still is Jaeyun. Even with the guitar buffs that Mako got, Mako still has like some drops and stuff that can happen, which, not saying Jaeyun probably doesn't have his fair share, but when you look at like the stats and the weapon combination, I mean, the sword and sword weapon combination, who knew they would be so strong? Not to mention that the SIGs are actually very useful. It's just that I feel like a lot of the times people, they don't tend to really like use them in mix-ups that much. It's really just this one, and then if you need to chase someone down, right, like side sig just hits in so many areas. It's so big that as like a surprise tool you can use it. But D-Sig even, I mean, you saw that the angle that you can get with D-Sig is pretty wild. I still really love this weapon. It's cool, or this character more than anything. Even through like some nerfs that he got. Isn't it crazy to think that this character has been nerfed? It's wild. Like, some of the best characters in the game are the ones that feel in ways like unnerfable, right? And what I mean by that is just by nature, by design, and this is something I've said before, that they just feel like, what can I possibly do to them, you know, if I was a developer, to make them feel bad, aside from completely nuke the move. And the thing is, first of all, Brawlhalla is not really known for absolutely trashing characters. But like Mordex is another great example where Gauntlet D-Sig had so much force and such little recovery time, and they've been whittling away at it for the better of probably 4 years at this point. I forget how long Mordex has been out, but it feels about like 4 years, and pretty much since his release, that move has been like a huge problem. And if you look at it at BCX 2018 versus what it is like now, it is half the move it once was. But with that being said, it's still it's still so good, dude. It's still such like a freak move. And I just don't understand how, like, I don't know. I don't understand what they could possibly do aside from like literally reworking it. But again, you know, like I said, Brawlhalla is not known for nuking moves. They're also not known for really reworking things. But that's really all I got for you guys today. Greatsword, it's in a weird spot still, but I think that comes from design. Going back to my previous point, it's gonna be good always, because like mix-ups you can do, that's amazing. But, you know, is it going to be great? I don't know. No pun intended with the Greatsword thing. But it's like, it's there. You know, if you're going to master it, it's going to feel rewarding in most cases. But at the same time, there are still things that are easier and are going to be able to net you the same amount of damage, and maybe playing Greatsword into them can feel pretty bad, and it'll make you question, why are you even doing it? But I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.